Alright, so y'all, LakerFan here. As you can see by the title of today's video, here to rank all the playmaking badges and tiers in NBA 2K22 Next Gen for Season 5. So I hope y'all enjoy. If you do, for to drop a like, sub if you're new to noties, good stuff, and like always, try to win 500 likes. So we're going to straight into this. First and foremost though, if you're new to the channel or new to the series, the color of the text is going to indicate what I had it ranked for Season 4. So, triple threat Juke, special delivery, they were E tier. I had no F tiers and no D tiers for that matter. And then anything in green, C, anything in yellow is B, orange A, and red S. So on and so on. So, hope y'all enjoy. We're gonna get straight into this. Alright, so like always with the last couple of seasons of tier lists that I've done, I'm gonna go ahead and just give a brief explanation on some badges when I don't have any different opinion than I did from last season. If you guys want a detailed explanation on what the badges actually do, feel free to check out a previous tier list. If anything's changed on the badge, I 100% will let you know, or my opinion on it. But again, for things like special delivery and triple threat Juke, I feel like these are just 1v1 court badges and that's it. Special delivery, actually for that matter, you're probably wondering, well, why is a passing badge a 1v1 court? This actually allows you to throw lobs off the backboard to yourself on the 1v1 court, which is very convenient in that situation that you maybe pick up your dribble very often. But what the badge is actually good for in an open court setting where you have multiple teammates, if you flashy pass to your teammate, it'll give them a boost to their shot rating. It's an okay badge for that reason, but I don't think it's very convenient. I think it's just too hard to do stuff like that on the fly. It's a waste of your playmaking badges if you ask me, and it also is kind of a negative to an extent when it comes to playing with teammates because it forces you sometimes to throw alley-oops off the ground, like bounce pass alley-oops. And sometimes that just ends up running right into a defender. It's really stupid. I think it's just kind of a bad badge to have on just for that reason. But again, for 1v1 court, it makes a little bit of sense to run on like bronze or a high level if you have extra playmaking badges that you can't use. And then for triple threat Juke, I guess you could make the case that it's a decent badge to run on 2v2, but for 3v3 and up, like 3v3 rec center, pro-am, stuff like that, I don't think triple threat Juke is really worth running. It's going to stun your defender when you hit him with a triple threat move, whether it be the jab, the pivot, all types of stuff like that. And it's an okay badge for that reason. But again, not really necessary in anything besides 1v1 or 2v2 if you ask me. Alright, so we're going to reveal all of the former C tier badges at once. We have one going up from C to B with stop and go. We have three remaining in C tier with post playmaker, ankle breaker, and space creator. And then we have one moving down from C to D with downhill. So we'll start from bottom to top. We'll go with downhill first. I just feel like in general, this badge can be utilized in fives pretty well with like guards, or if you're a guy who grabs the rebound and goes coast to coast. But let's be real, bro. I mean, anybody who grabs a rebound in fives, you're not going coast to coast with it as long as it's comp pro-am. Now, maybe in a rec center, you possibly could do that. But I think even at that point, some people are still lurking passing lanes. They're still going to blitz you really hard. They're still going to get in your face and make it hard for you to dribble. Now, if you have maybe, let's say 80 ball handle and you got rebounds and you go coast to coast with it, that's understandable, 100%. But most situations, I'm assuming when you grab the board and you try and go coast to coast with it, you're probably a build that's not meant to do that in the first place. So I just think downhill is not really a great badge for that reason or for that particular setting. Now, it is still utilized for, let's say, your big man grabs a rebound, throws it to you as a guard, and now you're running down the court with the ball in your hands. But typically, on the fast break, it feels like guards are going to be catching the ball by at least the three-pointer as soon as they catch it, like on the wing or the top of the key. And if you run to the corner with it, that's up to you. But I don't really think moving from top of the key to wing to corner is something that is really worth running downhill for, to give you a little bit of a speed boost in those situations. And most times, if you run to the corner, you might even just catch it in the corner, to be honest with you. Them bigs can like completely just throw outlet passes like crazy. And I just don't think it's worth running downhill in that situation. So it's going to end up being a D tier. Next up, we'll talk about post playmaker. This is going to be a badge that is best ran as a big man. It works if you're in the paint or if you're holding LT anywhere inside the three-point line. So if you're in the quote-unquote post, aka if you are in post position, not as in if you're down low in the paint, it doesn't have to be that. You can be holding LT inside the three-point line and it will activate. Now, what it also activates on is if you are standing in the paint or if you grab an offensive rebound and kick it back out to a teammate. Now, the other thing too is this overtakes Dimer. If you're doing something that relates to post playmaker, it makes it so that Dimer is not at work. So just keep that in mind for a lot of bigs out there. You could make the case that just for centers, this is a B tier badge, and obviously it's what the badge is more so meant to be intended for. So I'm not even really putting guards' perspectives into this too much in play, but just in general, I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? If you're a center and you didn't upgrade ball handle, you didn't upgrade speed with ball, you're probably throwing badges like post playmaker, break starter, glue hands if you have it. That's probably not even a thing if you didn't upgrade ball handle, but floor general, all types of stuff like that. Needle threader, the list goes on and on. All you can do is put passing badges on, so it's pretty obvious. But in these videos, I'm just ranking the power of the badge. I'm not taking scenarios or situations into hand too often. I'm just talking about how good is the badge, what is the power of the badge. So again, post Playmaker, pretty good. I would say it's comfortably in the C tier. I think it's maybe you could make the case that it belongs in the B, but just in general, I mean, it's not an amazing game-changing badge. It just helps your teammates make shots. It's really as simple as that. And, you know, if you're already down there in position for the rebound, aka if you got the ball in the post or you got the ball off an offensive rebound already, you're probably already down there close to the board anyway. So even if your teammate misses, you still have a pretty good shot at grabbing the board regardless. So anyway, that's post Playmaker. We have two playmaking oriented badges like as ball handlers. We have Space Creator and Ankle Breaker now in the C tier as well. Once again, not too much has changed in my perspective or opinion on this. Step back slash like hop jumpers and stuff like that with Space Creator activates. It's just a kind of okay badge. Same goes for Ankle Breaker, honestly. Now, here's the thing. I vouch for ankle braces very heavily when it comes to defense. I want to talk about that when we get later in the video, but it deals with a different playmaking badge, including tight handles right here. That's what ankle braces is good for. Ankle Breaker, it's not really the threat that requires you to run ankle braces. Ankle Breaker is literally just, it doesn't really activate too often. And not many people run it because it's just kind of a waste of playmaking badges if you're going to be trying to do stuff like that. Now, it's still annoying to deal with though. So if someone does have it on and you do get your ankles broke, not only do you look stupid, that's kind of one negative to getting your ankles broke, but it's also completely taking you out of a play. If you're playing Pro-Am or something like that and you end up on the ground, now your hedge guy has to step up fully. It creates a 3-on-4 situation with the rest of your team because two people have to guard you fully. And then boom, you can make the read accordingly, or if the hedge guy just doesn't step up, you're wide open because your guy's on the ground and you can't really recover. So it's a really, really devious badge. It's so hard to deal with as far as a defender, but the problem is it doesn't activate very often. And that's probably a good thing, to be honest with you, because if Ankle Breaker was extremely overpowered, it'd be a toxic, no skill game of people just spamming snatchbacks, spamming things to put you on the floor, and then do as you please as an offensive player when you have to just have one guy down on defense and he can't do anything. So it's probably for the good, and it's not that great of a badge. All right, and then next up we have Stop and Go, moving up from the C to the B. Now, I have hated on this badge a lot in the past, and really still the present, to be honest with you. I think people still overrate this badge quite a bit. It's like bottom of the B to me. I think it was just right in between the C and the B. Like I said, I think it makes a lot of sense to value things like Stop and Go more than Ankle Breaker or Space Creator as a ball handler, and it's just not that much better though. I think you'll see when we compare it to the rest of the B, what's already in the C, and then the A, that it belongs right where it is, at like probably the bottom of the B tier. Also, I don't rank these accordingly as to where I'm showing them, so just because it's at the top technically of the B tier does not mean that I see it that way. All right, so for all the badges that we had in the B tier for last season, we have one moving down. It's Needle Threader moving down from B to C tier. We have 3 remaining the same: Break Starter, Floor General, and Glue Hands. And then we have 1 moving up. Now, I want to explain this little dash or hyphen, whatever you want to call this. This is going to be the separator between A- badges and A+ badges. So there will be 2 of them in the A+ tier that are really, really good but didn't belong in the S, and then there are 3 of them that are in the A- tier that didn't belong as low as B, but didn't really belong on the same tier as these 2 up above right here. So we'll get to those when they get revealed, but again, Bailout is going to be one of them, moving up to that A- tier. So to start from our lowest up to top, we have Needle Threader. This is just a badge that I think it was important to have when the passing lanes were so good, and some people probably thought, well, it didn't even do anything because passing lanes were so good and people were running this and they were still getting intercepted. It was still saving you in a lot of situations, but then my opinion remained kind of neutral to it. I still had it in the B tier for last season's tier list, and the reason for that was I felt like people really had to get their X timing really, really good. Overall though, I don't think passing lanes are something that's a huge threat anymore, so I don't think you see a lot of point guards in the comp Pro-Am scene, or shooting guards for that matter, anybody who plays guard really running Needle Threader at a very high level. I don't think they really see it to be so necessary, and there's so many playmaking badges that are just better to have than it. So anyway, it's not horrible. I still think it's a solid badge to run. It's probably toward the top of the C tier. It's better than all 3 of these badges right here in my opinion, or maybe right in the same tier for post Playmaker if you are a center. But in general, again, Needle Threader, not a super necessary badge anymore after the passing lane patch, and I'm maybe a season late on that, to be honest with you. So anyway, moving along, we have our 3 badges staying in the B tier. We have Break Starter, Floor General, and Glue Hands. A lot of role player badges right here. Not many that I would recommend a guard to run, especially not Break Starter. Floor General, I think someone else on the team who isn't as much of an offensive focal point should be running this if it is in Pro-Am, and in general for 3s, 2s, and obviously 1v1 it's not even runnable. There's no point. For 2v2 becomes a little bit less relevant as well. Just the less people on the court, the less the badge is really that important. So It's really about as simple as that. I think it's a solid badge to run in 5s for like inside centers or something like that. If you want to help everybody on the team, maybe boost their 3-point rating and ball handle and stuff like that, important offensive ratings by +3. You could have it on gold, silver, you could have it +2, stuff like that. I mean, whatever level you can afford for 5s. I think it's a good badge to have for Pro-Am. And if you're just feeling generous and you're playing in the rec, you could be the guy to throw on floor general. I mean, it just is nice to have for your team. And as they, it's kind of funny because in rec, people probably try to play the blame game. They'll be like, oh, bro, I was carrying, I was scoring this many points, and you guys weren't hitting and stuff like that. Meanwhile, you could be the generous guy to put on badges that are going to help your random teammates, and then they use those points that they don't even know they're getting from you, and then blaming you for missing when they don't even have the badge on. So I know it's not as deep as that because it's only adding like 2 or 3 ratings to somebody's ratings, and that's 2 or 3 ratings that you're not getting. So it's not the whole difference between making and missing shots, but still, it's kind of funny that people could, be hating on you for missing your shots. Meanwhile, you're running the badges that help them make theirs, but they're not running the badges that help you make yours. So anyway, I feel like Floor General, really solid badge to run for Pro-Am. Simple as that. Glue Hands, really good for spot ups. Point guard should be running this at a decent level for Pro-Am just on fast breaks reasons and stuff like that. And obviously for centers, if you can have this, is really nice as well for good catches on the pick and rolls. But most centers can't really afford to have this. They end up with no ball handle ratings and you just don't get the badge. And then for break starter, very, very cornerstone playmaking badge for the centers out there. Obviously, it helps the fast breaks, accuracy, just simple as that, really. In case anybody doesn't know, a nice little tip for you too. If you hit bumper, like RB, LB, or R1, L1, I think maybe it might be R2, L2, but I don't really know which for PlayStation. But if you hit both the bumpers, if you icon and then hit the left bumper, it's going to pass to the person closest to the paint. And that's going to be how people just throw instant fast breaks. If you're wondering how they do that, it works for my team as well. So if you're watching this and you're a my team guy, that's a nice little tidbit of information as well. But again, break starter helps you just throw those deep outlet passes. It makes sense to have this at a high level for a center. It's never going to be something that a guard runs. I think lockdowns, maybe bronze, but it's probably a waste of a badge, to be honest with you. It's just generally going to be a center badge. It's literally as simple as that. And then again, for Bailout, we have this in the A tier. Now, this is, again, A-. Everything above is A+. But Bailout has become a badge that it just no longer can be in the B tier to me. But again, I didn't think it was quite as good as those other A+ badges, so I wanted to create a little bit of division between them. But Bailout, let's just talk about it. I mean, it's so much of a problem to guard against. Like, if a point guard has it, he runs to the wing and fades, someone is going to send some help off that. Like the hedge guy sends some help, right? Or corners start to crash off the corner to go for rebounds. And then boom, let's just say you pair Bailout with openness on your pass settings. So if that center, when he does see a point guard putting the shot up and he has to run to the paint, he has to race to the paint because the big man on the other team is slipping to the paint and he's going for offensive rebound. Meanwhile, you as a corner guy on defense as a 7'3", you're flying off the corner yourself and then boom, openness Bailout dot to your corner because you just look so stupid for dropping, and just like that, you just got spoofed for no reason, just because of a Bailout stupid badge that takes no skill other than just going up for a shot and hitting your A button. I mean, it's literally as simple as that. And it lets people cancel out of bad shots, which is also another bad problem if you ask me, because it's already hard enough to contest people, and to allow them to bail out of bad shots equals some no skill RNG stuff if you ask me. But anyway, I keep it 100 as far as the badge goes. I mean, I know it's a good badge for that reason. It bails people out. It's literally as simple as that. So we have it in the A- tier. It's not something you can build your whole game around, maybe, if you're really, really toxic, but it is still a really good accessory badge to have on to help you bail out of those bad shots and get some open teammates off just random BS, to be honest with you. All right, moving along, we have the Season 4 A-tier badges that are now being revealed. So we have 3 of them that are staying in the A-tier. Again, this is split up now, though, so it is A- and A+. So we have Hyperdrive, Dimer, and Quick Chain staying in the A-tier, and we are moving up tight handles from A-tier to S-tier. Now, I'm not happy or proud to be moving this up to the S-tier. Like I said, I'm just calling it as it is, keeping it 100. And honestly, the way that I see tight handles is it's just a completely bailout badge, and paired with Quick Chain, a lot of these kind of just go hand in hand. So with Quick Chain, you can spam as many moves as you want as fast as possible, and at a high level, it just makes it so you have more opportunities to stun people with tight handles. And with tight handles, when you do stun someone, it's almost the same aspect of what I'm talking about with Ankle Breaker if it was good. It takes them out of a play temporarily. If Ankle Breaker was good, it'd be taking them out of a play almost permanently, but tight handles takes people out of plays temporarily, and combined with how good fading is now, when you get tight handled on defense, you get completely stunned, you're out of the play, they are racing, and they're just boom, beating you to a spot, and you can't catch up because you are kind of playing from a whole second behind after getting tight handled. So when that is paired with quick chain, not to mention quick chain just helps you dribble more. I mean, it's literally as simple as that, right? So overall, good badge, really, really good badge with quick chain. Great game-changing, game-breaking badge to an extent with tight handles. And then we have things like Hyperdrive that are just kind of a nice thing to have as a dribbler. Gets you moving quickly when moving downhill with your moving behind the backs, or for that matter, just any size-ups that are moving forward, anything like that. Then we have badges like Dimer, where it's a pretty cornerstone playmaking badge. We all know what this does. It's just going to help your teammates make shots. Good point guard badge to have. I will say, my boy AK was running this on gold recently, and dudes were hitting. They were hitting contested, man. It was pretty crazy, but I do still want to keep this in maybe the A- tier. I don't think it's quite as good as quick chain or the other playmaking badge that we're going to have in the A+ tier, but it definitely still belongs in the A- 100%. All right, and the next step, we have Unpluckable dropping from the S tier to the A tier. We have Quick First Step, Bullet Passer, and Handles for Days staying put in the S tier. So let's talk about it. Let's go from bottom to top. The reason I have Unpluckable moving down from the S tier to the A tier is I feel like it's not really necessary anymore at a high level. Pluck steals just aren't really that good. I mean, I had hope for it after that little baby patch that they got, and they got a little bit of a boost, but it was like in the season 3 to season 4 patch where the passing lanes had got touched up, and it felt like there was a little bit of incidental boost to pickpocket steals again, and it was looking pretty doable. But overall, as everything has just kind of come full circle now here in season 5, it just feels like a little bit of an overrated badge anymore. I mean, you don't need this at a Hall of Fame level. I feel like gold is plenty enough. Even silver still gets the job done. People, even if they come out here with 99 steal and Hall of Fame pickpocket and lockdown takeover and everything, you still can't get that many pluck steals worth anything. It's a bump steal game, and even bump steals aren't really that great, to be honest with you. So all Unpluckable does is literally resist pluck steals. That's literally it. And on top of that too, Unpluckable doesn't work for those stupid inbound steals. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it, where the point guard will catch the inbound. This is 3v3 in Pro-Am. It's definitely not a 2v2 thing, and clearly not a 1v1, because there's an inbound pass, like a checkup and stuff like that. But on threes, where it's like side outs or baseline inbounds and stuff like that, or Pro-Am, where it's the same thing, side out on the sideline, or baseline inbounds again, the point guard will grab it off the inbound, he will catch it and turn around, and as soon as he turns around, these locks will just go for the swipe, boom, bump steal. It's the stupidest thing you've ever seen in your life, bro. It's crazy, and Unpluckable clearly doesn't work for that. So honestly, considering all this does is help counter pluck steals, it's just not that amazing of a badge. Now, it's still in the A+ tier. I mean, it's still like up there, and it's really good to have. If you don't have this as a ball handler, yes, then you will get pluck stealed. It's really simple as that. But I mean, you do still need this at a decent level, but I think gold is perfectly fine, and honestly, Hall of Fame is just overkill. Maybe I'm gassing it by moving it down just for that reason, but hey, that's my opinion, so it is what it is. Anyway, moving along, we have Handles for Days, Quick First Step, and Bullet Passer. So 2 playmaking badges that deal with the ball handling, and then 1 with the passing. So let's just start with the passing one. Bullet Passer, it's pretty obvious. It accelerates your passes, makes them get in there quicker, just puts more zip and gunslinger on it and stuff like that. And I mean, it just makes sense to have as a point guard. Now, you can't have this at a super low level as any build, if you ask me. Whether you're a lockdown, a big, shooting guard, point guard, anything like that, you can't have this at a super low level. I think silver is the bare minimum, the floor for it, and I think gold is by far like the most comfortable aspect to have it at. It's asking a lot to have someone like with Hall of Fame Bullet Passer anymore, especially because most point guard builds, the new meta is to have like 74 driving dunk. So if you have dunking on your build, the point guard meta, it finds it really hard to have like 97, 98 pass accuracy type stuff. So it's pretty rare you see anybody have this like more than gold, and pretty rare to see anybody with it with less than silver. But if you don't have it at a super high level, and you are someone that only has bronze Bullet Passer or 0 Bullet Passer, you just look horrible. And honestly, passing would be so tough in this game without it, obviously. I mean, it's literally a badge that has made that accessible. Now, I can't even imagine a game with no Bullet Passer, so it's a pretty respectable badge to be put in the S tier. Some of these are just cheese badges that like require like no skill. I shouldn't say no skill, but they're just such a toxic thing in the game, like tight handles and Handles for Days. We'll talk about that now. Being so good and allowing people to just dribble the air out of the ball 24/7 and not really lose stamina. The only thing that holds people back from shooting well anymore in this game is not the stamina, it's just the fact of over dribbling. Like for instance, they will make it now, so it's not even a stamina related thing. If you have dribbled the ball for like 15 to 16 seconds and you've done a ton of different moves, they kind of just screw up your shot timing. It's just kind of a ghost thing that happens. It's not due to your stamina, it's not due to anything like that. It literally just happens like that. So regardless though, I mean, you can dribble so much. Maybe pass the ball up one time, get it back, boom, dribble the air out of the ball again. offensive rebound. You throw up some BS shot, you time it horribly, and your dude just grabs the rebound. Boom, he throws it back out to you. You dribble the air out of the ball again. I mean, they gave so much power to handles for days and just stamina and dribbling in this game, and it's tough to see, man. It really is. As a defender and someone who loves defense, and I'm not here to hate on people who are point guard builds. I mean, you guys are doing your best at a game where you're just doing what the game allows you to. You know what I mean? And it makes sense to do. But I do think they need to nerf this badge a little bit. It would be very nice if you could play good defense for 16 seconds and people couldn't just make some BS on you, or if stamina was a little bit more of a problem and they couldn't just bail out, quick drop dunk you every single time. It's definitely frustrating. Now, like I said, if they over dribble, yes, you can back up every now and then, but sometimes it hasn't reached that point. And when you back up because you're thinking they can't shoot the ball now because they've dribbled for so long, they just make it. Simple as that, right? So anyway, we'll talk about that another time probably. But moving along, quick first step, pretty obvious S tier playmaking badge. I mean, it requires no explanation really. It just allows you to move quickly out of dribble moves. Not only your first step, it's just literally any step that you're accelerating off of. So I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? It's just such a staple of a playmaking badge for point guards, and even for that matter, still people who catch the ball and just try and do something with it. So for that matter, it's probably the best playmaking badge in the game. I wouldn't even think that's really debatable. Tight handle is the most toxic one for sure, but quick first step is the most needed from a point guard's perspective, and then bullet passer is just very respectable. It's not really a point guard badge, but it's something everybody needs. And then handles for days, like I said, just kind of, these are the two toxic badges right here. They really are just kind of an exploit or something that's hard to deal with as a defender. But anyway, that's all video. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, sub if you do, turn on noties, all that good stuff. And like always, try to 500 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put your favorite playmaking badge in the comments. And if I was just bashing you for saying tight handles takes no skill, or it's super toxic and that's your favorite playmaking badge, feel free to still leave it, man. I mean, it's up to you. But anyway, just know with these videos, I don't hate on people's play style that much or anything like that. I just kind of call it as it is, and I try to call out the game's BS more than the player's BS, because I understand as a player, you're going to exploit the best things you possibly can, and it just makes sense. And it's up to the game to balance that type of stuff and limit us as players. So totally understand it. You guys do as you do, and defenders are going to just try and make as is and try and make things right and do as they can. But anyway, like I said, that's all video. Hope you all enjoyed. And like I said, leave your favorite playmaking badge in the comments, or if you don't really know which one, just put play in the comments. Choice parts made all the way through. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed. Take it easy, man. Peace.